Hello and welcome to episode 129 of the 10 Million in 10 Years podcast. I'm David, your host. Welcome back, Emily.
Hi.
Hi. We're going to thank Tom Hardy from Harcourts before we get into this.
Okay, before we get into the next episode, I just want to say a personal thanks to Tom for supporting this episode and the challenge in general.
Dave, I absolutely love what you're doing. Great to be a part of it, and best of luck with the challenge.
We both know Tom. He is one heck of a good gentleman, and I would recommend getting in touch with him if you're buying or selling in the Christchurch, Canterbury region. Now, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about a topic which I enjoy, topic of books. Part of 75 Hard Challenge. We're both reading books at the moment. What are you reading, Emily?
I am reading Untamed by Glennon Doyle, a cult classic favourite for the females in the world.
Yeah. How far through are you?
I'm 3/4 of a way through. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's good. I think it's great for a lot of women out there in terms of the stereotypical norms that we feel, with life. And it is a good read to sort of moving away from that mindset and into a whole new, fresh, liberated feeling.
Yeah.
Which is, really good. Like, I got to admit for myself personally, it's just I'm past that stage. I don't feel trapped by any means. Like I'm pretty, yeah.
You're feeling pretty untamed?
Yeah, I probably need to be more
more tamed.
Sometimes I'm, in certain situations a bit too confident and need to sort of just watch how I push things a bit too much.
That's funny. What I've read that book. I was looking for something to read. I was getting toward the bottom of the pile, and I did read the book.
You've forgotten everything from that book, haven't you?
I honestly have, but there was a introduction that I really liked.
Oh yeah.
I remember the first bit. It's
Sure.
talking about a cheetah.
Yes.
I don't remember the gist of it. I just remember that I really liked the introduction.
Well, I think the gist of it was she took her daughter to the zoo.
Yes.
And there was a cheetah locked away, and the cheetah's best friends with a Labrador.
Right.
And so I think what they do is they have this old bunny, and the cheetah's got to chase the bunny, and then at the end of it gets a big feed. And there was a lot of sadness around it because they've tamed the cheetah. The cheetah was roaming around the grounds, looking sad, I guess, because he or she had no idea what the life that they could be living. Like it's still embedded in them. It's still in the DNA.
Gotcha.
But it's that cheetah's been tamed. And I guess the references around so many of us, it is within us, ready to just burst out, but we're being tamed by our own,
social circles, jobs, environment.
Exactly.
Right. Gotcha. So some people are like that metaphorical cheetah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that sort of leading in with the book is how to move past that, and examples, and because she was married to someone that cheated on her, and she stayed within the relationship, but she was so tamed, and then she met a woman who completely changed and liberated her life, and she didn't realize that she is in love with this woman, and then having to embark on a whole new world in a relationship with a woman with 2 to 3 children, and then what that looks like because she's a best-selling author, and how will the world perceive her, and living her true authentic self with her parents unsure, society, blah blah blah. And it's like every day you have to pick yourself over everybody else.
Yeah, that's a really good summary of the book, and although I didn't remember it, I remember it now, and I do remember taking bits of that book and really enjoying that fact that she's chosen a path that has no doubt been a way harder path.
And that's what the gist of it is: take the hard path.
I love it. Yeah, that's very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you
I guess it's not like it. There's so much value in it. There's so much value in that book. So I shouldn't say, to poo-poo it or rubbish it. There's a lot of amazing, important bits all throughout the book. And again, I haven't finished it, and I probably butchered the explanation, but that's my perception of the book. Yeah.
You mentioned a really good point though about timing and about when you read that book or when you've come across that book, you're in a stage where it's maybe not as relevant as it could be for others. And I think that's why I struggle when people ask what are my favorite books or like what's my top 10 list.
Sure.
And despite the name and title of this podcast, my 6 favorite books, this is as of today, as of 2024.
And it can change.
June. Yeah, exactly. And it will likely change. But from what I've learned and what books have had the most impact to date, this is the list.
Sure.
So number 1, and this is in no particular order, but number 1 is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, book that we're both familiar with. Maybe, that's, it's just had a huge amount of impact for me personally. It's essentially a guy, an author, an entrepreneur, Dan Martell, who has advocated for hiring not to add additional capacity or productivity to your business, but to buy back your own time on tasks that are either not making as much money as they could or draining your energy. That's the gist of it. And so whether that's recognizing where your highest productivity tasks are, what lights you up, what fires you up, whether that's the sales part, or maybe it's the coding part of the business or the cleaning, who knows, doesn't matter. But the point is to buy back time that is not well spent. Yeah. You've listened to bits of it, right?
I haven't actually listened to much on it, but I have read the introduction to the book, and it's very interesting how the story on him and how he started, and it's not what you would expect at all.
No.
I definitely think you should read the book. Anybody listening, it was a great introduction. I haven't moved past from that because I like to read one book at a time. So once I finish that, I'll definitely start on this. It's
an interesting one as well to have listened to it on audio format and then read it in hard copy. That's been quite different. Totally different meaning, or like it's just hit differently with those different contexts.
Which do you prefer?
Probably reading for that one.
Sure.
The actual hard copy. Yeah, I find like a lot of the things he's talking about, there's a few diagrams in there, there's a few things that I find it best to be able to look back through a page and just, I don't know, I just find it more relevant. It's less of a story and more of like a framework to follow. So
do you find that sometimes when you listen to audio book, your mind can drift away and then you're not like listening as intently as if you're reading it? Maybe?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Especially if I'm doing something that I could be distracted, like if I'm, say, at home. I don't know why I'd be at home just listening to a book, but I could be. Versus, say, if I'm walking or driving, that usually sinks in a bit better.
Yeah.
But Buy Back Your Time, tremendous book. Number 2 is one called 24 Assets by Daniel Priestley. This is a relatively unknown author. He was on Diary of a CEO recently. He's a Australian-born entrepreneur author, and 24 Assets is about developing intellectual property systems, assets for your business that are basically allowing it to operate at scale. It's just a really practical, again, framework for small, medium-sized businesses to adapt and to follow. He's written another few in his career.
Amazing. Would you recommend that to your clients?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that and Buy Back Your Time. It's two titles that I recommend for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah. I like those more well-known titles like we're going to talk to in a minute, but I like these hidden gems that are a little bit more relatable.
No, I think a lot of people will value that more than the cult classics, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Like I like these ones that have been written by people that have started off with nothing, they've figured it out on their own. They've chosen to document it, and then they've gone on to grow businesses around it.
Amazing.
I just find it quite authentic and a nice way to learn. But number 3, David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. Can't hurt you, can't hurt me, something like that.
Yeah,
I think it's Can't Hurt Me. It's a classic. Most people have heard of Goggins. It is a testament to what's possible. I like the extremism of it. I like the fact that he has transformed himself. So he's gone from being, hugely overweight working a minimum wage job.
That I didn't know.
No, a lot of people don't. You know, a lot of people that have maybe just come across as crazy, you know, shirtless running clips on Instagram don't quite understand the full backstory.
Yes.
And so he came from a very traumatic childhood. He then went to work as like a pest exterminator type dude, like cleaning commercial kitchens essentially, making minimum wage and, you know, just eating crap, weighing, you know, I don't know,
a lot.
250 kilos kind of thing.
Wow.
Like massive.
Wow.
And then deciding to get into the Navy SEALs and take up running in a big way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's still got the world pull-up record, but yeah, he's an extreme dude. What I like about the first book versus the second book, though, is that the first book is sort of shock and wow. It's like, holy shit, this guy's insane. But then the second book, which I can't remember the name, but you'll find it, he goes and elaborates a little bit more about the essence that led him to be able to do what he's done, which is essentially just to train super low volume, low intensity, but mega high volume. And so I think that's the same as anything that you want to do, right? It's like just doing the reps, like literally a shitload of reps, but in such a sustainable way that it won't blow you out.
Yeah. No, I think when you talk about him as a person, I'm mumbling my words, but I just don't subscribe to what he's saying because it just seems like, you know, bro. But hearing that he did come from struggle, that he was overweight, it really emphasizes the point on he has to do this, otherwise he could so easily slip back. And so it really is important to him to be on top of those things and to be pushing forward, because if potentially he could be thinking, if I just relax for even one little second, boom, I'm going to go back to the old, which I don't believe would ever be the case. But I guess, you know, that little wee voice in the back of your head could say, fatty.
That's it.
You know, McFatty. You're always going to be McFatty if you know, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, self-talk.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably a caveat there. Like, I personally wouldn't subscribe to the level he goes to just because it, you know, probably has led to damage physically, and there's probably a whole bunch of things that are maybe not so positive, but at the essence, I absolutely love it, and it just shows what's possible if you really set your mind to it and you know, work through those limiting beliefs that I think we all come across from time to time.
Totally.
Number 5, a book called Essentialism. Have you heard of it?
Never.
It's by a guy, Greg McKeown, something like that. Very good book. I've listened to this one many times on audio, on repeat. Essentially, this book is about doing less, being more intentional with your time, getting out of the busy trap, and just stripping back life to what's actually important and not getting caught up in the noise of doing stuff for the sake of doing it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a great read. Highly recommend it.
Well, it's very interesting how the book spectrum goes from hardcore, do the things, to then finding what is truly important to you, and, you know, minimizing the clutter and focusing on the things that matter. But then also complementary to that is buying back your time so that you can focus on those important things.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a nice spectrum of all the different elements.
They are all quite different, but they are essentially saying the same thing, you know, like focus on what matters, but go hardcore at that thing.
Sure.
Number 6, this is a pretty, I don't know how you describe it, maybe polarizing, maybe just extreme, but if anyone that knows Grant Cardone, you know, can relate to that. You know, have you come across his stuff?
No.
You'd probably not love it, to be honest, but he's just you'd call him a classic American, like quite loud, very confident, very outspoken, high energy. I just love it. I just find him funny. I just like his stuff. I think that it's totally, if you've got like the New Zealand tour poppy thing down one end, this is the polar opposite. Yeah, the absolute polar opposite. He's written books like 10X, few others, heaps of others, but the one I'm referencing, How to Get and Stay Motivated. This is an Amos recommendation.
Oh, cool.
It's like 2 hours on audio. He goes through, I think, 21 different things that he does to get and stay motivated. They're really quick, easy, applicable. You just turn it on and it just, I don't know, if you're feeling a bit low or you're feeling like you need a bit of motivation, it's just a really good go-to option. So yeah, as of recording, these are my 6 favorite books.
Amazing. And what are you currently reading?
So I've currently just bought the new Gary Vaynerchuk book, which is called Day Trading Intention. There is that Rick Rubin one as well that I've got, or Rick Rubin,
I think.
Rick Rubin, yeah. So that one is about, I think it's called The Art of Creativity. Just butchering all these names, but it is a...
You'll have it in the show notes.
Exactly. Thanks, Toby. You demand. So there you have it. That's the book recap. 6 favorite books as of recording.
Beautiful.
You got a favorite one? You got one that sticks out to you, or not so much?
No.
Nah.
No.
Good answer.
Yeah.
I like it. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for listening. Before we go, I do want to say a big thank you to the second brand partner of this episode. I want to say thank you to Andrew at Eyrewell Forest Motor Company. Go and take a look at what he has got in stock at the moment at efmc.co.nz. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you back in the next episode.
Before we get into the episode, I just want to say a big thanks to my mate Andrew here at Eyrewell Forest Motor Company for supporting the episode and the podcast.
We specialise in high-performance British, American and European cars. As a listener and a supporter of David Mouse's podcast, I'd invite any listeners to get in touch, have a look at our website, www.efmc.co.nz. Come and see what we've got out here and we'll take care of you.